Um, my name is Dejanay Christian Jewel Brooks. I am sitting in the forest right now, and this is part two of me ranting, pretty much, and just communicating. It's just on my spirit. My phone got like 4%, so if it die, it die. That's okay. Anywho, I want to talk about mainly. I want to talk about this because it's in my spirit right now, and it may help somebody out in this world. But I want to talk about how the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of hurt, and really just overall how fear can stop you from really manifesting things that you truly deserve. And I'm coming from the perspective of a a woman now at this stage in my life, but like a child that was really hurt for a very long time, and how the world very early and continuously showed me how fucked up shit can be, and how much there's light, there is dark that reflects it too at the same time. And I was shown a lot of the darkness very early so I could appreciate the light, and so I can allow myself to be light. But it doesn't mean, and something I've been realizing is like, it doesn't mean just because you have both of those perspectives and you're able to live in the duality of both, it doesn't mean that you aren't wounded from the darkness and that the darkness didn't have a large impact on you as a child. And so now that you're an adult now, it's the benefit of being a growing human being is that you get to choose what parts of your life that you get to heal from, and what parts do you like not embody anymore. I don't want to be a traumatized child anymore. I want to be a healed, loving, fruitful adult. um, but within that, you got to be able to face the part of yourself that is still that traumatized child. And so I'm going to be talking about how I'm going to be talking about today really kind of what just happened for me in meditation. uh, for me, I like coming out to these woods. I love being able to sit my ass down in the forest and be able to breathe and be able to hear the birds chirping and be able to just feel this. It makes me feel lighthearted, but it also clears out my mental space and my emotional and spiritual space. But something for me, I've been really being proactive about is being proactive about my mental health before I get into a bad state, and making sure that I'm balancing myself on a consistent enough basis that I'm able to like anchor myself before anything goes under, if that makes sense. So like, for example, I've been really busy with work, and I've been really focusing on my music and focusing on my art, and just being at the stage of like if you want your dreams to happen, you got to work towards them every day. You have to work towards your life every day, your dream life every day. But I've also been getting really crippled by my fear. And a lot of the fear is fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of really people seeing me. And the reality is like, you can't, it's like contradicting. You know what I mean? It is very contradicting, because it's like I have all these fears of these things, of really success, really, of like, if I, not if, but when my life manifests in this way that I desire it to be, it's like, how can you manifest and bring in something that's so abundant, so prosperous, if within your internal self you are even afraid of accepting those things? And so for me, a lot of my lessons come from relationships, and it comes from certain dynamics where I'm like, damn, this mirrors my trauma. And a lot of those are like rejection wounds, and kind of chasing after unattainable situations. But chasing after unattainable situations just mirrors the unattainable kind of love that I wanted and needed as a kid that wasn't there for me, and or wasn't deliberately there for me. And so now as an adult, it's kind of, I'm not gonna say second, no, like it's kind of second nature, because that was what I grew into. That now it's like, oh, it's already what I got. But the reality is aligning yourself to the understanding that you are deserving of much more. Is that the only reason why you go through those situations are to show you the opposite end of what you deserve. And so for me, it's one of those things where I started to hitting the forest, start praying, start meditating, start reaching out, and I'm like, okay, what are y'all trying to teach me? What's trying to come? And what came is like, you got to learn how to accept things. You have to learn how to accept things. You have to learn how to accept everything. Not only be like, I will only want the good things, right? Yeah, the good things are a part of it, but just as much as you know there's light and dark, there's good and bad, you can't just be like, oh, I only want this part of it and ignore this part of it without realizing that both of them are literally mirrors to each other. For me, it's a fear of rejection, right? So if I'm afraid of putting myself out there and putting myself out in situations where there's a potential to be rejected, that also means the potential of me even being able to receive that is gone, because that means I'm not even putting myself out into the world to even accept what could happen. It could be amazing. It should be amazing. I'm deserving of it. But the reality is it may not always be that. So does that mean you don't even apply pressure to whatever situation because you may not receive acceptance? It won't go your way, but the reality is that's life. If you know that, if you've experienced good days, you know what a bad day is. If you've experienced the rain, you understand what the sun feels like. And so it's like you can't deny yourself one portion of your life out of fear of what the other portion could be, because the reality is that portion is only meant to teach you something. And that's also been one of the biggest things for me about acceptance, or allowing things to just flow, or at least trying to manifest. I'm not even trying to, manifesting the life that I deserve, is understanding that you have to allow things to flow. I'm not saying disregard your fear, but thank it for being there, but remove yourself from the attachment of that, because at the end of the day, if you attach to this notion that shit's gonna be shitty, shit's gonna be shitty. If you understand that, hey, it actually may be good too, and actually may be something where it won't utterly hurt me, and if it does utterly hurt you, be able to accept that and move on. And like, easier said than done. Easier said than done. Easier said than done. And once again, I'm speaking from my perspective, because I know that I've seen a lot of the fucked upness of the world, and it has never stopped. It has never stopped. It was a very early lesson, like, oh, shit can be really fucked up really early. And then it just kind of kept going. And now that I'm at the stage where I feel at peace, where I feel like, you know what, I wouldn't even say I feel at peace. I just feel like I'm old enough to experience it. I'm old enough to experience it and not have it kill me emotionally anymore, which is great, because that means I can live my life fully. I don't have to be like, oh, I only want the good things and that's it, because the reality is, even in those bad moments or those stressful moments, I've learned the most valuable wisdom out of my life because of those experiences. And so I just say this to say, is like, if there's anything in your life that you're fearful of, or you are uncertain of, and it's halting your growth, the only advice and the most valuable advice I can give is accept the reality of whatever way it goes. Because within accepting that is when you can allow in the blessing of whatever it is. Because the reality is, a bad situation can be blessing. It really can. It may hurt for a minute. It may suck. You may go through some emotions. You may even fight. You never know. But I promise you, in hindsight and in the aftermath of that shit, is when you're like, that's why I had to go through that, or that's why that situation played out like it did. Is because at the end of the day, all of this shit is just here to teach you, if you want it to. If you want to fully live life, allow it to teach you what it's supposed to teach you and keep it pushing. I met this guy a few weeks ago, and he read my cards, and he said exactly what I'm saying now. He said exactly that to me, but it was a little bit different because I wasn't at a place where I was accepting of it. And he had pretty much told me, is like, you can't limit yourself only to one experience because that's what you feel like is comfortable. You can't limit yourself to only like disappearing on the hard shit and running away from the hard shit because it's hard and you perceive it to be hard. But within doing that, you neglect that experience. You neglect that blessing. You don't know what God is trying to give you. You don't know what God is trying to show you. You don't know what could be healing within you, what could be hurting within you, what could be fulfilling within you. You don't know if you're like, that seems tough. That seems difficult. That seems, and the reality is, it probably is. It probably is. Nothing's fucking easy, but at the end of the day, that situation could also be so fulfilling. Yeah, it may hurt at some point, but it doesn't mean you should neglect it and neglect even the idea of experiencing that, because at the end of the day, you are cutting yourself off from a path. Like, life is just a bunch of different paths. It's literally like a forest. I think that's why I fucking like the forest so much, because it feels like life, where there's so many different little nooks and crannies in different places you can adventure to. You can find a pond, you can find a bunch of squirrels, you can find a deer, you never know. You can just sit down and breathe. But if you limit yourself only to the paved walkway, the only thing you're going to see ahead of you is the paved walkway. It won't be anything different. It'll be the same thing the first time you visit it. The second time you visit, it's going to be the same thing over and over and over and over. But if you're like, you know what? I see this paved walkway, but I want to take a right today. Okay, what do you find on the right lane? Ah, shit, this is a dead end. Let me go back the other way. Now I'm going to take a left. Oh, shit, it's a pond. Ain't nobody over here. I can hop in this shit. Like, it's that mindset that allows you to live a life that's fruitful and that's abundant, and not just, I'm going to manifest everything that's great, but then discount everything that could be potentially hurting. Because at the end of the day, in order to manifest those things, you have to have the sense of acceptance of whatever comes is a blessing. Whatever comes is a blessing. If I'm manifesting $50 to fall on my lap, right? And it can either come from the mail, it could come from an old check, from whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'm willing for whatever the delivery of that $50, as long as it's safe and unharmful to me and the people I love, I'm gonna cash the $50. I'm gonna spend that money. It doesn't matter if it's coming from a pretty package or a delectable, like, it's just that mindset and the relationship you have to whatever. Like, you can't reject life, is what I'm saying. And I'm preaching to me, because I reject life. I am healing this aspect within myself that is that has been embedded in fear for all of my upbringing. All of my upbringing, my heart has been shielded. Like, I have, I have not, all of my life, my heart has been in a guard protection mode because of the reality of people and the duality of people. In the same sentence someone can love you, they can also stab you. And that has been reality all of my life. And what I'm grateful for is that I've experienced that, because it has made me be able to love harder on the ones who are here for me authentically. I may not be perfect, I may not be an angel, but I swear to God, the people who are here for me and have been unconditional, there's nothing that I would not do. Honestly, like, I may kick and scream, I may be a little bit of a brat sometimes, but like, on the realest shit, my heart is in that place where I got you, because I understand there are people who will say I love you, but then punch you in the same, like, breath. And it hurt a lot going through experiences like that. And it made me it made me have to protect the most valuable part of myself, which is my heart. And which is the most valuable part of all of this, because the reality is, all of this is love. All of this is love. If you believe in God, in the sense of being the creator, he loves us. He loves the world that we live in. We don't love us. That's where shit gets separated. We don't love us, and we don't respect us. And that's because the world can be light and dark, but the reality is light and dark. You can't reject one in favor of the other. You have to be accepting of both so you can receive everything it has to teach you. And so, but as humans, we are very traumatized beings. This shit's traumatic. Birth is traumatic. We had a very comfortable womb space, and we was like, yank, here's education, here's adulting, here's bills, here's heartbreak, here's abuse. Here's all of these fucked up things. And it's easy to be like, all of these things are fucked up, so I don't even want to participate. And I get it. But in order for there to be an actual healing, there needs to be light on that dark. You cannot